"Look, officer," I said, trying my absolute best to look like a man who definitely didn't have a military-grade floating bridge being disassembled in his backyard. "I can explain, but first, can we all take just 1 second to appreciate how profoundly dumb this whole thing got?" The state trooper wasn't laughing. Not even a twitch. He had that stone-faced energy like he'd rather be wrestling a bear than hearing me out, while behind him, young Officer Miller, first on the scene, was doing everything he could not to laugh. "I'm failing. Miserably." The captain pointed a gloved finger toward the trucks loading up $3 million worth of Department of Defense bridge hardware still hot from the smoldering wildfire that nearly cooked our entire neighborhood. "I'm looking at scorched earth, 12 wrecked lawns, and a man with a clipboard-sized grudge who called in the army," he growled. "Talk." So, I did. I leaned back against my truck, took a breath that still tasted like smoke and pine sap, and said, "All right, but to explain this properly we've gotta go back to this morning. Back before my welcome mat caused an HOA incident. Yeah, that's where this all began. See, 12 hours earlier, my day started the same way every retired combat engineer's dream does, with sawdust in the air and a half-finished cherrywood rocking chair on the bench. The garage door was open, the sun was coming in just right, and NPR was humming low on the old radio. For once, it was peace. Then came the email. Subject line: Quarterly Beautification and Security Enforcement. Read immediately. Which of course meant it came from Brenda. Brenda Delaney, president of the Harmony Creek HOA, self-elected in a 5-voter landslide, self-important enough to use the word inauguration to describe the event, and self-righteous enough to enforce bylaws like they were written by the founding fathers. I opened the attachment, 12 pages of legalese in font size 9.5. Every line felt like it had been written by someone allergic to joy. New garage door time limits. New approved shades of off-white for window trim. And, of course, a ban on overly expressive welcome mats. Mine had a cat. With sunglasses. Naturally, I texted Dave, my neighbor and fellow co-conspirator in the Don't Let Brenda Win alliance. "She's outlawing mats now," he texted back. "Apparently mine lacks gravitas." "Yours." "Too jaunty," I replied. God forbid a doormat welcomes someone enthusiastically. And then, like some HOA horror movie, I heard it. The clack of orthopedic shoes on pavement. I looked up and yep, there she was. Brenda in her HOA polo, clipboard clutched to her chest like a holy relic, marching toward my open garage. "Jack," she said sharply, eyes narrowing like twin daggers of judgment. "Brenda," I nodded, not bothering to turn off the sounder. "A fine morning for dictatorship. Your garage door has been open for 47 minutes. That exceeds the 50-minute window allowed for active unloading." I shut the sounder off and looked her dead in the eyes. "I live here. I'm sanding a chair. What do you think is gonna happen? That an international gang of antique furniture thieves is gonna sneak in and swipe my wood stain? It's about appearances," she snapped, nostrils flaring like she just sniffed non-regulation mulch. "And security. We don't need to invite criminal elements. Now, I've been places where security was a real issue, places where locking your door meant the difference between sleeping and not. This wasn't that. This was a neighborhood where people worried more about crabgrass than crime. I'm giving you a verbal warning," she said finally, scribbling on a clipboard like she was drafting war plans. "Further non-compliance will result in written citation." And just like that she marched off, queen of her beige empire. I called Dave. "She just gave me a citation warning for garage door exposure." "She measured my lawn yesterday," Dave groaned. "With a ruler. Said I was a 1/4 inch over max height." We laughed. But under it we both knew. She was ecolating. She wanted control. And that's when things got really weird. Because a few hours later, the sky turned yellow. At first, I thought it was just one of those strange summer lighting shifts. Then came the smell, acrid, chemical, wrong. I walked outside and looked west. The sky was orange. The Tumble Ridge wildfire, which had been a distant problem on the morning news, had turned into a red tidal wave heading straight for Harmony Creek. Then came the sirens, not police, but phones. Wireless emergency alerts, mandatory evacuation. Immediate threat. Primary exit, Harmony Creek Bridge. And then chaos. People poured into the streets. Families scrambling to load kids, pets, photos. The air was panic. And fire. I had Buddy, my old golden retriever, loaded in the truck before my neighbor's sprinklers even shut off. I was ready. Until I saw the line of cars just sitting. Gridlocked. All pointed toward the bridge. Not moving. I got out and jogged up ahead. And there she was. Brenda. Standing in front of a minivan parked sideways across the bridge entrance. Wearing a safety vest and holding, you guessed it, her clipboard. She'd blocked the evacuation route. All residents must line up by last name and await dispatch according to HOA emergency protocol, she barked. No exceptions. We must prevent looters and maintain order. People screamed. Begged. Pleaded. One guy called 911 and told the dispatcher a private citizen had blockaded the main evac route. You could hear the operator sigh like it physically hurt her. We've got 3 fire fronts, she said. Just move her. Yeah. Easier said than done. Brenda was dug in. Law enforcement wasn't getting through. So I made a call. To someone I hadn't spoken to in 10 years. Carter. It's Jack Riley. I need a ribbon bridge. Fast. Are we at war? Kinda, I said. With bureaucracy. Sergeant Major Carter, former Army engineer, current hurricane of motion and steel, rode in 45 minutes later with a convoy of trucks and a grin that said he missed this sort of thing. Brenda tried to stop them. Tried to hand him a laminated cease and desist. He didn't even look down. Ma'am, he boomed, this is a FEMA emergency assist. Step aside before you become an operational hazard. She was still ranting when the bridge hit the water. In under 5 minutes, those soldiers unfolded a floating miracle across the creek, 60 yards of metal and muscle, while the fire crackled just beyond the ridge. And then Carter blew a whistle. Bridge is open. Move. It was like releasing a dam. Families surged forward, not in panic, but in relief. Cheers echoed. Kids waved from car windows. The bridge held. The neighborhood survived. Brenda. She was still standing by her overturned picnic table barricade, watching it all fall apart. Later, as the last truck crossed the river and the flames turned to smoke, the cops finally arrested her. Clipboard and all. For obstruction, endangerment, and just plain insanity. So, the state trooper asked me, back in the present, you called the U.S. Army to override an HOA? No, sir, I smiled. I called them to fix a broken system, one picnic table at a time. And you know what? It worked. But now I wanna hear from you, was I out of line? Or did someone finally just stand up to the madness? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk power, rules, and how far is too far when someone thinks their clipboard outranks common sense.